What's up, guys? So back with you for Wednesday, May 21st, Better Off Dead. And again, I will clarify that unfortunately, unfortunately with what happened yesterday, I am not actually betting these plays right now. I'm just giving out the plays that I would be betting, giving out the picks, which I'm saying is unfortunate because yesterday was a 4-0 day on the show. As I was locked in, I was like, I'm going to be really selective here, even though I did play like the one NBA game that was there, the one hockey game that was there, one of the two WNBA games, or maybe it was the only WNBA game, but whatever. No, I think there were two, but whatever. Yeah, I think there were, but whatever. I got all of those right, and then my one selective baseball play was right as well, and basically every single one of them was not even a sweat either. We had, the one that was the most sweat-worthy was the Oklahoma City Thunder, just because it was a close game into the third quarter. Oklahoma City, I had it on over here. They were losing, I think 60-56, and then they went on like a 17-2 run, and then that was basically just the end of it. They're like up double digits now, and it's like, peace out, man. See you later. Oklahoma City runs away with it in the end. They get the win. We had the outright win in the WNBA and the Atlanta Dream. They built a big lead, and they almost blew it, and they still won outright. So, as I always preach, when you have an underdog like that and you think pretty decent chance to actually win the game outright, I say you got to put it like about 10% of the bet actually on the money line if you're doing it that way, and then you can cash a little bit extra if they do hit outright, and that is what they did, the Atlanta Dream yesterday, and you probably could have gotten 8.5 rather than just the 8 on that one too. Easy outright win though for them, or easy cover and outright win for them, I should say. The cover was easy, the outright win not so much. And then we had another easy win in hockey. Florida Panthers didn't expect a blowout win like that. I haven't looked at the box score yet to see if it was misleading in any way or whatever. I got to look before tomorrow's game 2, but it seemed like a nice win to me, so I'll take that for now. And then the baseball game, pretty easy as well. When you have one team gets totally shut out, the under tends to be what you want to be on there, and that was the under in the Padres-Blue Jays game last night, which was a 3-0 final, so that one as well. Chris Bassett actually had another really good game in that game, so let's move on to today. So today we do have, how many plays do I have today? Reminder, I'm not actually going to bet these for the time being, but I do have 3 picks that I'm going to give out here. One is in the NBA game, and the other 2 are baseball, so pretty selective again here with a full baseball card, but first game I'm going to talk about, the NBA games, Pacers, Knicks. There's kind of a lot going on in this game, but there is pretty significant market indication, I think, on the Knicks, up from 4 to 4.5 with juice. 68% of the cash coming in on them, 65% of the tickets on the other side of the Pacers. This is a weird read for me because I try to first gauge, what's the public's reaction about this? Are they not putting stock in the Knicks because are they looking at that and thinking, well, the Knicks just beat a beat-up Celtics team. The Celtics lost Tatum, so are they going to say that was kind of a false victory for the Knicks? And I would actually agree with them if they were saying that, but I'm still not sure that matters in this game 1 here. I actually do like the Knicks here in game 1. So I was trying to gauge what's the public reaction to all that. I saw on Twitter right away, I saw a lot of guys, although I follow some more sports betting content people, they were kind of saying Pacers are going to win this thing. And it is a close series price with the Knicks only a minus 145 series favorite. But I'm still not quite sure that I would agree with that, lean that way. And then I did see all the talking heads yesterday on, I think, ESPN or whatever I have on right now. I think it's ESPN. They picked the winner of the series, and all of them picked the Knicks to win the series. Although that isn't necessarily, them picking who's going to cover in game 1 here. Gives me a little bit of pause with the talking heads all saying the Knicks are going to win the series. I'm not sure about that, but I will go with the Knicks in game 1 here. And now some of this is similar to yesterday's handicap, where I'm going with the team that actually has less rest. Although yesterday there was less of a gap there. I think there were only 2 days off for Oklahoma City, and they didn't exert themselves in their last game, but it was kind of like a tune-up in the later portion of that game, even though it was a game 7. So I liked that they had the momentum, and kind of surprised me that actually they were better later in the game than earlier in the game. But either way, they got the job done. So that was a win. And I think the same thing could apply here, but the Knicks have had more time off as they haven't played since Friday. So they do have rest, but I think the fact of Minnesota guys, no, the Pacers have even more rest. I think the Pacers, that could really give like an offensive team like the Pacers, that can kind of disrupt their momentum a little bit more when they've been off for so long, off longer than the Knicks have. So I think that is a disadvantage to the Pacers. So I'd still be looking at the Knicks, well, full game, obviously, is the play I'm giving out, but also like early on in the game, first quarter, first half, I would agree with the Knicks as well for that reason. But the main thing that kind of tipped the scales for me in this game here is that this is revenge. This is a big revenge series and spot for the Knicks, because what happened the last time the Knicks were on this floor in a game of this magnitude? Oh, yeah. They lost to the Pacers in Game 7 in the series last year in the Eastern Conference semifinals last year. The Pacers upset the Knicks, got the job done, took the Knicks out. So I think that's a huge motivating factor here. The Knicks definitely remember that the Pacers knocked them out in a Game 7 on this floor. That is a big-time revenge angle here. So I do expect the Knicks to come out, play well in this game. And one thing to remember about that series, because you might say, well, the Pacers were probably the better team. Maybe, but the Knicks were really, really injured. If you remember what was going on in that series last year, the Pacers definitely took advantage of a very beat-up Knicks team. Like, the Knicks were not healthy, and they're definitely healthier here now. Remember, the Knicks, Randall was on their team last year, but he wasn't playing at that point, so they were without Randall. I think Brunson was banged up and kind of in and out of the lineup. I think they had other injuries to, like, I think maybe Hart, DiVincenzo, I think Anunoby maybe too. Like, all these guys are just, like, injured. But now the Knicks actually have a more complete roster because they do have Karl-Anthony Towns. I mean, regardless of how well you think he's working out for the team. But he is there. The team is healthier right now than they were in that series against the Pacers last year. And also, remember that in the early games in that series before the Knicks were, the Knicks got worn down and they were beat up as the series went on. But remember that early in the series, the Knicks won the first 2 games at home. The home team won every game in that series until Game 7, I'm pretty sure. So the Knicks actually won 3 games at home in the series and then lost the final game. So I do like the Knicks here. Not only did they lose that Game 7, by the way, they got embarrassed. They got blown out by, I think, like 20 points in that game. The Knicks just had nothing left at that point, and that is not going to be the case here. So for all those reasons, I do like the Knicks in this game. Now, there are a few things to maybe give you a little bit of hesitation here, which I do think that the Knicks win over the Celtics is less impressive than the Pacers win over the Cavs, because the Pacers did it in 5 games. The Knicks, remember, they were getting blown out in most games against the Celtics. It's just that the Celtics were a complete mash unit, dude. Nobody really realized that until the series started. Porzingis, basically didn't even play. I don't know what's going on with him with an illness. No, I'm not sure, but he barely played in the series. Jason Tatum obviously ruptured his Achilles, although that wasn't until the end of, towards the end of Game 4. But still, that was a huge factor in the last game at the very least, because the Celtics stepped it up for 1 game without him, and then they just had nothing left after that. Jaylen Brown was playing the entire playoffs with a torn meniscus, I think. Some major issue there. I told you that he wasn't healthy. I told you he was injured. It wasn't meniscus, right? It was some knee injury. I don't know. I'm good at anatomy, but I'm losing my mind right now. But yeah, he had some serious knee injury that was even more serious than people think. So, I mean, it was a really, really unhealthy Celtics team, and yet they were still winning the first 2 games by 20 points against the Knicks, and they were winning every game except Game 6 by double digits. So, yes, that does mean that the Knicks did kind of get destroyed in that series and still won the series, whereas the Pacers actually did kind of more legitimately beat the Cavs, even though the Cavs, they had injuries as well. I mean, they were without Mobley and I forget who else. Well, Mitchell was out for, I think, 1 game at least. And then I think one other of their players was injured. Hunter, I think, might have been injured as well for 1 game. But the Cavs are at least more healthy than the Celtics were. And the Cavs only had 1 game that was like seemingly every game for the Celtics, where the Celtics are just way ahead and then still lost. In 3 of their 4 losses, they had a double-digit lead. That wasn't the case with the Cavs. The Cavs did have 1 game where they did that. I think it was it Game 1 or was it game? I forget which game it was. It was Game 2, I think, because I think I lost on the Cavs in that game. They had a huge lead in that game and blew the entire thing. That only happened once for the Cavs. And yes, you could probably give the Pacers the experience edge as well because they made it to this round last year and got that experience against the Celtics, even though the Celtics swept them. The Pacers did play fairly well in that series. I mean, they had 2 close games. They almost stole game 1, and I was at that game, the game with the Jaylen Brown 3 from the corner where the Celtics looked like they were totally dead. So the Pacers almost stole that one. And then once they failed to, I think it was just kind of coasting time for the Celtics, although the Pacers did play one other really good game, I think, in that series. Might have been the elimination game, actually, in Indiana. The Pacers almost staved off elimination. But all that being said, I think the fact that it's a healthy Knicks team, that the Knicks looked really good at home in this series last year, and that it's a major, major revenge angle here. Knicks is the play in that game. Andrew, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. All right, NHL. I was considering offering out a play on Dallas here. I think I'll stay away from this. We do have Edmonton and Dallas game 1 here, and I do think this is going to be another one of those series where the home team has a little bit more of an advantage than they would in other series because the teams are just geographically far apart. So I think that's kind of what does it. Just like with Dallas and Winnipeg, we saw a lot of home ice advantage in that series. I think it's going to be the same here. So I do lean to Dallas in game 1. I think Edmonton is just... They continue to be a bit of a public team, like too public for me, where the public, they love scoring. They love McDavid, but Dallas is the more complete team, in my opinion. They can score, but they also, I think, are better on the defensive side, and they have a better goaltending tandem, even. They have a better starting goaltender, Ottinger, but their backup goalie, DeSmith, actually had a good season, too. So I actually think they have 2 better goalies than all of Edmonton's, even though Picard, I think, has actually been pretty good for Edmonton in the playoffs. But it's like Edmonton is... They come into the playoffs, it seems like year after year, they have the same goaltending tandem, Skinner and Picard, and they don't even know which one they want to use because they both, have drop-offs at times and fail at times. So I don't know. So I do think Dallas is probably the more steady team here, and they do have experience. I mean, both teams have experience. Edmonton was in the finals last year, obviously. Dallas has made deep runs in the playoffs a lot of the recent years. So experience, I think, is kind of a wash. Both teams have a lot of experience. Market-wise, Dallas up from -120 to -130. 62% of tickets, 73% of cash coming in on Dallas. So market read is on Dallas. Do have the agreement there. Dallas won 2 out of the 3 regular season meetings. But the regular season meetings were actually pretty home-centric as well, as Dallas won easily in the only game in Dallas. I think they won 4-1 or 5-1 or something, although there was an empty net goal there. Dallas was the more physical team in that one. But if you look at the stats, Edmonton was actually the more physical team in both games in Edmonton, although Dallas actually won one of those 2. So Dallas was 2-1 in the regular season against Edmonton. And actually both games in Edmonton also had lopsided scores late in the game, I think. I think in the game that Edmonton won, Dallas almost came back and won. And I think in the game that Dallas won, Edmonton almost came all the way back and won. So it was both the 2 games in Edmonton were played pretty close on the scoreboard, but Edmonton was also the more physical team in the home game. So it seemed like the physicality was correlated to which team was the home team as well in the regular season games, and that would be Dallas here as well. So I do lean to Dallas again for that reason as well. What else was I going to say about it? Dallas and Winnipeg? Did that series go 7? I can't even remember. No, I think it went 6, right? So Dallas won in Winnipeg, so they're having to come back now from Winnipeg. Edmonton is having to come down to Dallas, and Edmonton just won their series, I think, up at home, right, against Vegas, if I'm not mistaken. So Edmonton's having to come down to Dallas for this. So both teams kind of actually traveling to Dallas from Canada, but a little bit of time off here for both teams. The rest edge, I don't think, favors one team over the other. Both series went fairly deep. I do think that I would think that maybe the public would have been giving Dallas a little bit more credit for beating Winnipeg, the President's Trophy winners, as of course the President's Trophy curse continues as the President's Trophy winner continues to not win. So I would think the public might give Dallas a little bit more credit for that, but it does look like the public is not on Dallas as much as the money is. And Edmonton, coming off that win over Vegas, I would think that the public would give them a little bit less credit for that, just because it's kind of like, well, Yeah, I mean, Vegas. I mean, they're always there, seemingly, in the playoffs. But, yeah, I don't know. But this year, the public liked Winnipeg more just because they had such a good record. Anyway, all that being said, slight lean to Dallas. WNBA, we have Dallas and Minnesota. Quick revenge spot for Dallas here as Minnesota, of course, won the season opener against Dallas. And Minnesota was actually shorthanded. I think they were down 2 of their starters. But I told you that Dallas, I mean, they're going to take some time to get some chemistry here with new faces. Not only did they get Buckers, the number 1 draft pick, but they also have they're in a situation where I think they have 4 new starters this year on Dallas. So that's like the thing here. Like, even though, yes, this is a revenge spot for Dallas, quick revenge, are they going to have enough chemistry yet to do this? I'm not entirely sure. And if Minnesota's getting some of those starters back, it's going to be a little bit difficult for Dallas. Although if Minnesota is getting those starters back, they kind of have to work their way back in as well. So overall, I do think the line is probably a little bit too high, up from 11 to 12. So I would slightly lean to Dallas. But Nephilim Death Squad, what's up, man? Is that Raven or Top Lobster? And then we got, let me see, what else we got? So slight lean to Dallas just because I think quick revenge spot maybe takes the cake there, and maybe the line is just a little bit too high, although I would not expect Dallas to win that game. Top, what's up? All right, what else we got? LA and Phoenix, I mean, I was considering maybe, I would maybe slightly lean against Phoenix here because in their first game, they actually pulled off a pretty big upset, and it was a blowout win. I think they were like 6-point underdogs or something at home against, I don't even remember what team it was against. But so I would kind of lean against them just for that reason. The Sparks, LA, are coming off a loss to Minnesota, I believe. Minnesota is one of the best teams in the league. And I looked at that and I was like, well, it was a double-digit loss for LA, so maybe they will bounce back here. So lean to taking the points with LA. I do still lean that way, but I'm not going to recommend a play on it because that LA-Minnesota game, even though they lost by double digits, LA was actually within 4 points with 40 seconds left in that game, and somehow Minnesota scored 10 points in the final 40 seconds. Don't ask me how. I don't know if LA just continued to foul for no reason. It doesn't make any sense why you would continue to foul after you're down 7, but whatever. This is the WNBA, man. This is women. It doesn't make any sense. And then Washington is at Golden State, who's one of the newer teams here. What do I think about that game? Yeah, who knows? I mean, I think Washington is coming off 2 big wins so far. They beat Connecticut, who was one of the better teams the last couple of years, but is way down this year. So that win, I think, doesn't look very impressive. Golden State, I think, is coming off getting blown out by, was it LA? I would have to go look. I don't even remember, man. But I don't really have a feeling on this game at all either. The money has kind of come in on Washington, pushing them up a little bit from 5.5 to 5.5 with juice. It does look like the cash percentage, based on where this 0% is, might actually be coming back on the Golden State side. I don't know. And for some reason, Phoenix has moved up from 2.5 to 5.5 with juice in that game. So there might be like an injury situation there that I'm unaware of because I don't follow the personnel at all there. Major League Baseball, let's go, man. Minnesota and Cleveland didn't play yesterday after game got suspended by rain the day before that. They were supposed to finish that game yesterday and play another game yesterday. That didn't happen. So now they're slated to finish the suspended game today. And then they have another game today, which is going to be the same pitching matchup as it was going to be yesterday. And I think that means they're going to have to play a doubleheader tomorrow, too. It's all ridiculous, man. If they are continuing the series tomorrow. No, it looks like they're not. So they're going to have to reschedule one of these games, I guess. But anyway, whatever I said yesterday still applies here in Game 2 of that series, or Game 2 of that doubleheader. They're going to finish the first game, and then the second game is Gavin Williams against Chris Paddock. I won't go into it again, but you can look at my analysis on yesterday's video. Both starters actually have pretty good numbers against these opposing lineups. So I said, yeah, an under kind of makes sense. Maybe a first 5 under even because you don't want to have to consider the bullpens at all. But if you do see how the first game plays out, and if the bullpen usage isn't that much, then maybe a full game under would still make sense here. But total is around 7.5 here, which is a very low total. Actually, crazy low. Minnesota offense not getting a lot of respect here, but I do think that the under, I do think it is going to be a lower scoring game. I think under does make sense, but maybe first 5 makes more sense, especially if the bullpens get used a lot in the first game of the doubleheader. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh actually finally broke a long loss streak with a win yesterday, 1-0. Falter, actually a really good performance for Pittsburgh yesterday. Now we got Brady Singer against Andrew Heaney. Brady Singer hasn't been pitching that well this year for Cincinnati, man. He's had it rough. 5.01 ERA, 1.31 whip. And you might say, well, that's because pitching in Great American Ballpark is not easy to do, right? That's true. It's not. But if you look at his splits, it's actually been the opposite problem for him. Is he's actually been okay at home, and he's been terrible on the road. 7.45 ERA on the road and 341 opponent batting average, which is pretty surprising given how hitter-friendly Cincinnati's ballpark is. So Singer is actually worse on the road. He's on the road here. And against Pittsburgh, his numbers are pretty mediocre in 50 at-bats, 260 average, 739 OPS. So I don't really trust Singer in this matchup. Andrew Heaney, pitching better this year, 3.02 ERA, 1.14 whip, since he got away from Anaheim, where pitchers basically go to die. As we've seen, Griffin Canning doing way better this year as well. Pitchers leaving Anaheim tend to do better, although Heaney, I don't think we could trust his current form, as in the month of May, he has 7 strikeouts and 10 walks. I mean, more walks than strikeouts, that is a major red flag, and more hits than innings pitched. I don't like it, so he has not been in good form going back to the last start that he had in April against the Cubs. Against the Reds, his numbers are kind of all over the place, too. 43 at-bats, 233 average is pretty good, but 810 OPS. That is because Hayes has really knocked him around. 5 for 12 with 2 doubles and 2 home runs, so player prop alert there. If you like player props, hits plus runs plus RBIs on Hayes there might be the way to go. So, I mean, both pitchers are kind of difficult to gauge in this game, so I don't want to have to deal with it. We got a lot of afternoon baseball here, man, because it is getaway day. So a lot of times you see, like, some teams just show up kind of unfocused here, almost kind of like looking ahead to the next series or whatever. So you do have to factor that in. Cubs at Miami. I think Miami actually, they won the first game of the series, and the Cubs bounced back and slaughtered them yesterday, 14-1. But now we have a weird starting pitching matchup here with 2 young pitchers. Cade Horton for the Cubs, 6 ERA, 1.22 whip. The ERA maybe a little bit misleading because his whip isn't that bad. He has 7 strikeouts and no walks across 2 starts. And this is a guy who made his debut in the majors this year and had to do it against the Mets, who hit pretty well. So his numbers aren't really that bad. I mean, that tells you that he does at least have something. He has decent command. So none of that is that bad. And Miami has not seen him before, and they're not a good offense. So Horton did just face the White Sox, who are also a bad offense. So, it still kind of remains to be seen how good he's going to be here, although I think he might have a little bit of an advantage against Miami hitters who haven't seen him before. Max Meyer from Miami, I like this guy. Overall, he has good numbers as far as like strikeout walk, 59-16. I mean, that's good. He's given up too many hits and home runs now, though, man. He's kind of been in bad form over the last month or so. 4.47 ERA, 1.33 whip on the year now. But he did bounce back against Tampa, even though their offense isn't great. 7-0 strikeout walk ratio in that game. So Meyer did do better in that game. And against the Cubs, a hard-hitting lineup, small sample size of 18. He's held him to a 222 average, but he's allowed a couple of home runs in there to Happ and Crow Armstrong. So he's allowed a 911 OPS. 911, oh boy. The Twin Towers here, it is possible that they fall in this game. I don't even actually know if these guys are tall. Are they? 6'1" and 6'0". Yeah, not really, but whatever. We'll call them that for the joke's sake in this game. You might have to call 911, by the way, if you bet on Max Meyer right now. I've lost on a couple of his games recently. I'm not going to touch this game, but slight lean to the under, probably, just because you do have 2 starting pitchers who are young guys with decent stuff, who the opposing lineups have either barely seen or haven't seen at all. So that's probably the lean there. 77% of tickets are on the over and 56% of the cash on the under. It's a total of 9 there, juice to the under, though. But it does look like the percentage is coming in on the under, the cash percentage. The next 2 games are the games that I'm actually going to recommend plays on. One is Houston Astros money line, even though I know you're paying a bit of a price for it at minus 140 on the road, but I just think this is a mismatch. I would recommend it. Houston up from minus 133, minus 141. I understand, they're very public. 96% of tickets, only 94% of the cash. Percentages like that, it's usually something I'm going to be like, nope, you got to stay away from that. But I think Houston has got to be the right side here in this one, and just asking them to win. I think is the way to go here. Tampa won yesterday, so it is kind of a bounce back spot for Houston. Both teams used like a similar amount of their bullpen yesterday. Both teams have decent bullpens, so I think the bullpen situation is a bit of a wash. And starting pitching was, well, I think Houston actually probably has a slight offensive edge. As Tampa Bay's offense really just isn't that good. And starting pitching, I think, is where the huge edge goes to Houston. It's Hunter Brown. Starting to get some respect from the market, but he is really one of the best pitchers in baseball. 67-14 strikeout walk ratio. Only 2 home runs allowed, 33 hits allowed in 56 and 2/3 innings pitched. Just great stats across the board. I mean, maybe a little bit too much wildness, but really high strikeout rate, really low hit rate. He's almost untouchable. He struck out 9, actually exactly 9 in 5 straight starts, which is pretty good. He's just running through it right now, man. Against Tampa Bay, they're 0-for-17 off him lifetime with 6 strikeouts and 1 walk. So he has completely dominated Tampa's hitters as well in a small sample size, but that's a good sign as well. Whereas Taj Bradley, I think, is completely mismatched here. 4.8 ERA, 1.34 whip, bad numbers. I mean, putting way too many men on base. Not in good form in this month with a 12-7 strikeout walk ratio. Allowed 5 runs last time out in 3 walks in 4 innings to a bad Miami lineup. Not a good sign. Bradley, kind of all over the place. And against Houston, he has not had it easy. 30 at-bats. He's actually allowed 4 home runs, 2 of them to Diaz. 300 average and 1,130 OPS. So I think Bradley is definitely mismatched there. Houston Astros, money line. Next up, Baltimore, Milwaukee. Now, I was looking at this, and I'm like, oh, Milwaukee's on the verge of the sweep because Baltimore can't win a game at all. But I'm looking, I'm like, oh, Baltimore's trying to avoid the sweep. They actually have their one saving grace pitching today in Sugano. So I'm like, oh, maybe Baltimore actually is the way to look here as a slight underdog. Problem is, Milwaukee is pretty good at home, and Milwaukee's starting pitcher is actually pretty decent as well. So I don't think I can quite do it. Milwaukee doesn't have really a look-ahead spot either. I mean, their next series is tomorrow. I think they start playing Pittsburgh, which Pittsburgh is so far down in that division. Even though it is a divisional matchup, I don't think it matters that much. So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, well, Sugano, I mean, he's a guy that the stats guys don't like this guy. The analytics guys don't like him, but he's got a 3.08 ERA, 1.03 whip. The only thing is he doesn't strike guys out, but so what? If he's not putting guys on base, yeah, he's giving up too many home runs, 9, but he's not putting guys on base, and the rest of his numbers are all good. Hasn't allowed more than 4 earned runs in any start, and that was once in his last start, which I don't think he's in bad form or anything, really. I mean, he still had 3 strikeouts, 1 walk. He just happened to give up 2 home runs in that one. I think he's going to continue to be, like, pretty steady. I mean, he's been very consistent throughout the entire year. Yes, he's still kind of adjusting to playing baseball in America, as he played for a long time in Japan. But I think the fact that he has a long career as a starting pitcher, that has helped him out with this transition, man, as he's been good, like, all season, and Milwaukee has never seen him before. So I think that's another edge to these pitchers where the opposing hitters haven't seen them before. You got a veteran pitcher who knows what he's doing. I think it's a little bit of an edge there. But speaking of offenses who have never seen these starting pitchers before, Chad Patrick is a young guy for the Brewers. I've made some plays on his games this year as well. He has not allowed more than 3 earned runs in any start, although he's not going that deep into some of these games. Overall numbers are okay. I mean, it's too many walks, basically. The rest of his numbers are fine. I mean, kind of a low strikeout rate. He's not really a strikeout guy, but overall his numbers are pretty good. 3.35 ERA. 1.28 whip is a little bit too high, but I think he does have the ability to get the job done here, and Baltimore's offense has just been struggling so much that I think what we're doing here is first 5 innings under, and you can actually get it at under 4.5 at a decent price. I found it at better than the minus 110 there at FanDuel, I think, in Mass. I mean, I'm not actually playing it, but I look at what the odds are at the sports book still, so that would be the recommended play there. Take the bullpens out of the equation, as Milwaukee's bullpen has really been not good this year, and they got used up yesterday, so I don't want to touch Milwaukee's bullpen here. Baltimore's isn't terrific either, so go with the starting pitching matchup to keep the offenses in check a little bit here, and we'll go under first 5 innings there, and that is actually the final play that I have. Detroit, St. Louis. Detroit's going with a bullpen game with Herder pitching, and we'll see how much that hurts them. So he's probably only going to go 1 to 2 innings. He's coming out of the bullpen to make a kind of a spot start here. Detroit's going to go with a bullpen, but Detroit used a lot of their bullpen yesterday, so it could be a little bit of an issue for them. Palante really hasn't been good, though, for St. Louis. 4.11 ERA is okay, but 1.33 whip is pretty bad. Detroit hasn't seen that much of him. They're only 1 for 3 off him, so there's really not a lot of a sample size there to look at. So it's kind of a question mark what we're going to get in this game, to be honest. So I really don't know what to expect. Very difficult game to handicap when you really don't know what you're going to get from either starter, really. Cash is coming in at St. Louis to bounce back from losing yesterday after I told you Detroit was in a good spot to take the game yesterday. But it was too much of a price to lay, and it was, as they had Skubal on the mound. They did win, but I think they won late by 1 run, so it was close. Cash coming back in on St. Louis to kind of zigzag back here with 73% of the cash on them. 62% of the tickets like Detroit because the public likes how well Detroit has been playing, but, I mean, you don't know what you're going to get out of a bullpen game. Even though Detroit are kind of the masters of the bullpen game. If they have the same manager they had last year, that's exactly what he's been doing for well over a year now. So Detroit is kind of the team that does do that. So it's not surprising they are going to do that there. Seattle and Chicago White Sox. I was looking at this and thinking, you got 2 young starters here who haven't been seen before by the opposing hitters. So that looks like kind of an under type of game. But I just don't know that you could trust Logan Evans for Seattle. He's got a 2.57 ERA. That is good, but 1.52 whip. He's putting more than 1.5 base runners on per inning. So I do have some hesitation with him, even though he's coming off a really nice start at San Diego. It's a pitcher-friendly park, but still good offense in San Diego. He went 6 shutout innings in that game, only walked 1. That's a decent sign, but I still don't know if we trust him because he's just putting way too many men on base and kind of getting away with it and isn't like a huge strikeout guy or anything. So I think it's kind of a wait-and-see approach with Logan Evans. Shane Smith for the White Sox. I do like this guy. 2.05 ERA, 1.14 whip. He has more of a sample size to look at now. His walk total is a little bit high, but he's allowed well fewer than 1 hit per inning. Strikeout rate is a little bit lower than 1 per inning, which is not bad. So he's actually been good. He's been good this month as well with a 17-4 strikeout walk ratio, 1.69 ERA, including a good start at the Chicago Cubs, which is not an easy task at all. So Shane Smith kind of looking like he's kind of the real deal there. So I do like Smith. I would put more trust in him than Evans. I mean, maybe still a slight lean to the under here. The total's down from 8.5 to 8 juice to the over. 70% of tickets on the over and 95% of the cash on the over, though. But I think I would still have a slight lean to the under there with 2 potentially decent young starters who have not been seen before by the opposing lineups. And neither opposing lineup is that intimidating, really. David, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out, everybody. All right, let's keep going here. What else? All right. I already talked about Cleveland, Minnesota, having to play that second game of a doubleheader. Kansas City at San Francisco. San Francisco's a huge favorite here because the odds makers are basically telling you this is a big-time starting pitching mismatch. Daniel Lynch IV is pitching for Kansas City, and he was in their starting rotation for a while within the last few years or so, but he's been a bullpen guy for a while, so he's coming out of the bullpen to make a start here, and I don't know how long they're going to let him go. It might be that they take him out before he reaches 5 innings in this game, so I don't know what you're really going to get out of Kansas City here, so it is really kind of a question mark. He's been good out of the bullpen this year, 1.29 ERA, 1.1 whip, that's pretty good. Numbers against San Francisco, limited sample size, but in 10 at-bats, 300 average, 700 OPS, 5-0 strikeout walk ratio, though, so not much you can really take away from those stats. I don't think. Logan Webb, though, for San Francisco, I mean, he's one of the better pitchers in baseball, obviously. I mean, he's a rock out there pretty much. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get like a pretty deep performance out of him more often than not. He's going to do well more often than not. 69-16 strikeout walk ratio this season. So he actually has more strikeouts than innings pitched, which I never thought of him really as a strikeout pitcher like that, but that's what he's been doing. Fewer than 1 hit per inning, only 2 home runs allowed, low walk rate as well. He's pitching well, man. 2.42 ERA, 1.12 whip. Nothing to dislike about Webb really at all. Against Kansas City, kind of a mixed bag, though. 39 at-bats against these hitters. Problem is he's allowed 3 home runs. So 2 of them are to Kana. 2 home runs against him, 5 for 11. So if you want to look for player props, him and India is 4 for 10 with a home run off him. Kana also has 3 walks against him as well. But overall, 256 average, not bad, but 848 OPS because of those home runs and walks in there. It makes it a little bit questionable. Logan Webb does have the upper hand in that pitching matchup, but I think that it's too much of a price to lay with San Francisco in that one, in my opinion. Atlanta and Washington, I was looking at maybe I would lean slightly to Atlanta here as Washington got the win yesterday. They're on a nice little win streak here with 4 wins in a row, although maybe you got to dial that back a little bit because 3 of them were against the Baltimore Orioles, who can't beat anybody right now. Washington did just beat the Braves yesterday, which might have the Braves a little bit pissed off, and I do think they have the better starter here in Smith-Shawver going. 1.24 whip is mediocre, but 2.33 ERA is good. I mean, the whip is a better indicator, so I would, dial it back a little bit on Smith-Shawver, but this month, 0.46 ERA, only 8 hits allowed in 19 and 2/3. He's been almost untouchable, though he has walked too many guys, 8 walks to 18 strikeouts. The strikeout rate is good. Overall, he's pretty good. More than 1 strikeout per inning on the season, well fewer than 1 hit per inning, but too many walks, so he's actually been hard to hit, but he's been a little bit wild, like so many pitchers really are. And against Washington, nice numbers in 28 at-bats, 143 average, 404 OPS. So I would give Smith-Shawver the advantage over Trevor Williams, who just has not been pitching well. 5.91 ERA, 1.53 whip. I mean, putting more than 1.5 base runners on per inning, that's not going to get it done. Didn't go 5 innings in his last start, which, by the way, was against the Braves. Actually, both of these starting pitchers just faced these opposing lineups in their last starts. Williams did bad. Smith-Shawver, I think, actually did pretty well. But it does mean that both opposing lineups are now more familiar with these opposing pitchers again because they just saw them. So it's a little bit of an extra disadvantage to the pitchers. But obviously, Smith-Shawver is the better of these 2 pitchers. But Williams does actually have okay numbers against Atlanta. 136 at-bats, 257 average, 676 OPS. So Atlanta doesn't really completely destroy this guy. Yeah, Smith-Shawver has the better matchup numbers. He is the better pitcher. I would still give him the nod here, and it's a bounce-back spot for Atlanta. Washington used a lot of their bullpen yesterday, and their bullpen is probably the worst in baseball still, so you can't trust Washington's bullpen either. So I think Atlanta's got to be the way to lean here, but the market looks totally disagreeing with it. Atlanta down from -163 to -152, so you can get a better number on Atlanta if you do like them. 88% of tickets and only 69% of the cash. Kind of crazy, man. The public is all over Atlanta, even with Washington's mini hot streak here, and less of the money on Atlanta and the line reverse moving against them. So I don't like to see that in the market when that's the side that I agree with, so I'm not going to recommend a play on it. I still do lean to Atlanta, though, and if you do play it, I mean, it's a little bit of a high price tag. I would wait for it maybe to drop into the -140s if it's going to, or you could lay a -1 run line on them and get the price down, and then if they win by 1, it'll push, which is still fine. But, yeah, I mean, that's the way that I think about this game. Again, you got to pay attention to baseball, though, man, because a lot of these line moves that you see from the opener, sometimes, like I said yesterday, it'll be a false move early with the lower limits. The professional bettors will actually throw a little bit of money on the side they actually don't like to try to drive the line in a certain way because they get respect from the books. Then when the limits increase and they get to bet more on it, they come back in and throw their actual bet, which is for way more over on the other side at a better number. So sometimes that is what's going on. I don't really think that's what's going on in this game, though, based on what I see with the percentages. The percentages are actually kind of agreeing. They're in agreement with where that line is moved. So I think it's actual movement, believe it or not, which doesn't make sense to me, really, though. Mark, what's up, man? I think it's a little bit too high of a price, to be honest, but in that matchup, I mean, I think the matchup is good for Atlanta. I don't know about that. I mean, the Braves do have some injuries there, but I don't know that I would say Washington's lineup is stronger. I think it's probably close, at least. I don't know, man, but I would like to see Williams have worse career numbers against Atlanta, though. But he definitely has sucked this year. Mets and Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox completely threw off what they're trying to do with their pitching yesterday. If you saw that game last night, Walker Buehler was pitching, and he was doing all right. It was a 0-0 game into the second inning or third inning or something. I had the game. I was watching the game with my dad, actually, at this point, and Buehler had a pitch where he threw it right down the middle, man. I mean, it wasn't even like a pitch that was on the corner. It was not quite down the middle. Maybe it was slightly towards the inside of the plate against a left-handed batter. Absolutely a strike, no question about it. And the umpire called it a ball, and I think the catcher actually threw it to second because I think the base runner actually might have been trying to steal. I don't even remember, but Buehler was trying to figure out all this that was going on at the same time. and then realize, wait a minute, you just called that a ball. It was clearly a strike right down the middle. I don't know who the umpire was in that game, the home plate umpire. God awful last night. He made a ton of terrible calls last night, but Buehler argued the call, and he got thrown out of the game, even though it was the second or third inning or whatever. So that means the Red Sox had to go to their bullpen way earlier than they wanted to, and they used a ton of relievers in the game, even though they actually won the game, but it was ridiculous. So their bullpen is way out of whack coming into this game, which is a problem, even though the Red Sox do have their best starter on the mound, Crochet, so I guess that's the best scenario when you have no bullpen left, is to have your best starter go out there and try to just let him go as deep into this game as possible. But against the Mets lineup, I mean, Crochet, I don't think he's going to pitch a complete game here, man. I think he'll probably do okay, but I don't think he's going to be in there, that deep into the game this time, even though he is an ace. But that was just ridiculous. And Alex Cora got thrown out of the game as well. So he basically hasn't been there for 2 straight games because he missed the previous game to attend his daughter's graduation, high school graduation. I don't even know. How old is Cora now? And then Cora got thrown out last night defending Walker Buehler. It was insane, man. I mean, the call was terrible, but you can't get yourself thrown out of the game like that either. Although I do think the umpire jumped the gun. Like, Buehler basically complained about the pitch from the mound, and he's just tossed. Like, oh my God. It's so ridiculous. And then Cora wasn't even really that animated, and then he got thrown out. But maybe it sparked the team a little bit because the Red Sox, whatever they did with their bullpen, using like 7 different relievers or whatever, they actually combined, I think, for a shutout last night and won the game somehow, 2-0. Crazy low-scoring games in the series here. But what we have going on here is Tyler McGill, who's pitching for the Mets in this one. 3.74 ERA, but again, 1.38 whip. You got to watch out a little bit for this man. Yeah, he's pitching okay, but his whip is bad, and his numbers aren't that great this month. A 17-10 strikeout walk ratio. His last start against the Yankees, yeah, I know it's the Yankees, didn't do well, only went 2 2/3, and he walked 5 guys. So his walk number has been really bad. This month he has an 8.76 ERA, so he's not in good form. Although, yeah, he faced the Cubs and the Yankees, 2 of the best offenses in baseball, sure, but he was just not getting the job done. I mean, his whip indicates that his ERA should be worse than it is. And against the Boston Red Sox, 12 at-bats against them. He's allowed a 417 average and 885 OPS, so he has not done particularly well against the Red Sox lineup in a small sample size when he's faced them. So I do think Crochet does have the upper hand in the starting pitching matchup. 2 ERA, 1.06 whip. I mean, he's got some of the best numbers in baseball. He is in good form right now with a 1.89 ERA this month and a 23-3 strikeout walk ratio. He's faced some somewhat weaker offenses, but still absolutely getting the job done. Has one of the highest strikeout totals in baseball with 73 in 63 innings and only allowed 46 hits, 21 walks. I mean, there's a little bit of wildness in there, but he's allowing way few hits here. We know what he is, man, Garrett Crochet. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. 14 at-bats against the Mets, small sample size, but 8 of those at-bats resulted in strikeouts, a 143 average and 500 OPS, just because he did allow 1 home run to Lindor in the past, but he has been good. So starting pitching matchup, I think, favors the Red Sox pretty heavily here, but you really got to worry about the bullpens here, as the Red Sox just wasted their bullpen last night. So I guess the slight lean in this game, maybe Red Sox first 5 innings might make sense just to get Crochet having the upper hand in the starting pitching matchup, but the money looks like it's not agreeing with that side at all. In the full game, at least, the money line is down from -149 to -142 on the Red Sox. 51% of tickets and 68% of the cash coming in on the Mets. For the Mets to kind of bounce back here is actually, I think the Mets are trying to avoid the sweep here. So that would be one thing that kind of keeps me away from being like, yeah, this should actually be a play here as well, is that the market read looks to be against the Red Sox here, and the Mets, might be a little bit extra motivated here because the Red Sox have won both games in the series so far. And I gave out the Red Sox as a play in the first game of the series because the Mets were coming off one of those dreaded Sunday night games. It was a close game until the 8th inning against their rival Yankees. So it was a really bad spot for the Mets. So do what you will with all that information. Yeah, that's right. Let me see. -220. I don't think so. I don't know about that. I don't know if the Braves would be -220 on the road against Washington. It's still a divisional game. I mean, Yeah, because Atlanta has started the season really bad. I mean, I think maybe you're getting some value on them at some point. I don't know about that game, though. I think it's a pretty high price tag in that game. I didn't see what Lindor did. No, I only saw the part of the game where Bueller got ejected, and then I was driving for part of it because I was at my parents' house for a bit, and then I came back to my house, so I didn't see what was going on. I didn't watch the rest of the game after that. I actually had the NBA game on for a while. All right. I know some Red Sox fan I am, obviously. Texas and New York Yankees. Both teams, I think, used a decent amount of their relievers yesterday, but both teams do have good bullpens, so I think the bullpen situation is a bit of a wash. I do think Texas has the upper hand in the starting pitching match. Jacob deGrom has picked up right where he left off, man. He's pitching really well. 2.29 ERA, 0.98 whip, 20-4 strikeout walk ratio in the month of May with a 1.5 ERA. He's pretty much just back to his dominant self. He allowed 4 and 3 earned runs in 2 of his first 3 starts this season, and then since then hasn't allowed more than 2 in any start. 53-11 strikeout walk ratio, more than 1 strikeout per inning, fewer than 1 hit per inning. He's just allowed too many home runs, 7 home runs, but he's only allowed 2 since April 18th, so that's a bit better. And they were both in a game at Detroit, which his team still won anyway, and he got the win, even though he allowed 2 home runs. They were both solo shots, and he didn't allow anything else. So DeGrom definitely doing a great job keeping the runners off the base pass. And he has a 51 at-bat sample size against the Yankees, and good numbers. 21-6 strikeout walk ratio, 176 batting average against the Yankees, and a 655 OPS because, Grisham and Bellinger each have a home run off him. But overall, DeGrom, very good numbers against the Yankees. Yarbrough is going to be pitching for the Yankees here, which I have no idea what we're going to get out of this guy. I think he's coming out of the bullpen to make a start here. 3.7 ERA, 1.27 whip on the season. Okay numbers. I mean, the whip is a little bit higher than you would like to see. He did pitch 4 and 5 innings in his last 2 outings and did okay, but he had 4 strikeouts and 4 walks, so take from that what you will, but it wasn't exactly dominant performances out of him, although granted, one of those was at that A's ridiculous hitting stadium, and he pitched decently in that game, so I don't know. I mean, that's something at least, but DeGrom against Yarbrough, come on. The starting pitching matchup, pretty big edge there, I think, for Texas. Texas, and like I said, the bullpen situation, I think, is a bit of a wash. But the Yankees, of course, have a way better offense than Texas does right now, which is going to factor into the line, which is why the line is at kind of a toss-up price. It's flipped from Yankees plus 104 to minus 108, but 57% of tickets, 62% of the cash coming in on Texas. I agree with the Texas side. I agree with that cash percentage there and not where the line moved. I think the line move, again, could have been one of those early false moves. A lot of times when the line is right around a pick 'em price, a lot of times it's not even a false move, but what it is really that there are some guys that come in and they play whoever the underdog is. They just jump in, grab the underdog, try to get the line to shift so that the other team is the underdog, and then play them also as an underdog. So you're guaranteed a very, very small win, which, it's stupid kind of because you really have to grind to do that, but it's a guaranteed very small win if you do that. So I think the actual money probably is coming in on Texas, like the percentages suggest. Everybody knows DeGrom is the way better pitcher here, so I do agree with the way that that's going with all of that. But Yarbrough actually has faced Texas quite a bit, 86 at-bats, and he's actually done well with a 24-6 strikeout walk ratio, 221 average, 663 OPS. So I'm not sure that the mismatch is maybe as much as we think it is. So I just won't recommend a play on it. We'll stay away, but lean to Texas in that game. Wait, who was? The umpire? Yeah, the umpire was going insane. Yeah, I did see that part of it, yeah. Oh, Lindor was yelling at him. I didn't even see that part of it. I saw the umpire looked like he was being an idiot, but I didn't see the whole thing. I was talking to my dad at the same time. San Diego and Toronto, although my dad was trying to watch the game. My dad does watch every Red Sox game. He watches every Red Sox game, every Celtics game, and every Patriots game, although I myself have not been a Patriots fan since for a long time. I hated Belichick and Brady, so I started rooting against them. I'm kind of neutral now. And then my dad doesn't watch hockey, which I think he should. The Bruins, I don't know. I like watching the Bruins even when they suck, but San Diego and Toronto here. Toronto got the win last night, 3-0, but they used some of their best relievers to get the job done. San Diego has the better bullpen here, but Randy Vasquez on the mound, can you really trust him? I don't think so. 3.45 ERA looks pretty nice, but 1.49 whip, really, really bad. 1.5 base runners per inning. He is coming off a couple of good performances where he actually had 10 strikeouts and 2 walks and 2 6-inning performances in his last 2 starts, one at Coors Field, so somewhat impressive, although Colorado's offense is terrible. Anaheim's offense is terrible unless they're facing, I guess, the Dodgers or the A's, but Vasquez did well in that game as well. So is he in good form right now? I guess he is, but overall he's been terrible on the season. He has more walks than strikeouts still, even with those last 2 good starts, so I don't think you can trust him, even though he's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning. I'm not ready to trust Vasquez at this point. And Toronto does have decent numbers against him. Small sample size, but .312 average, 1,076 OPS. Some player prop potential in Varsho there. 2 for 2 with a home run off him. Varsho, by the way, if you saw that, people were putting out that still frame of him where he scaled the wall to try to rob somebody of a home run the other night and couldn't catch it, but he really got up there on the wall. It looks crazy how he scaled the wall. But then there were people like saying, oh, that's not impressive. Like he used the wall to scale it. He didn't actually jump that high. It's like, yeah, no shit, he didn't actually jump that high. It's still really impressive to scale the wall like that. Like, what? Like, can you do what he did there? Like, shut up, man. So that was, the response to that was ridiculous. He scaled the wall. It's fake. Yeah, shut up. All right. Anyway, yeah. So, and Kevin Gausman is on the mound on the other side. So Vasquez has bad numbers against Toronto. Gausman, 4.59 ERA doesn't look very good, but his 1.06 WHIP indicates that he is pitching better than his ERA would suggest. He just got tagged for 6 earned runs against Tampa. They had way too many hits off him, 10 hits. He's allowed too many hits, but he came off a 1-hit performance against Cleveland 2 starts prior to that. 18-1 strikeout walk ratio this month does tell me that he is commanding his pitches fine, but he's allowed a few too many hits this month and 3 home runs against Tampa. Certainly not good, but maybe a little bit of an outlier because that's 3 out of 7 that he's allowed this season. He's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning over the course of the entire season, so he is still a pretty solid pitcher. Against San Diego, those numbers aren't great, and 170 at-bats, huge sample size. 28-4 strikeout walk ratio is good, but 288 average, 752 OPS. Not good numbers, and some player prop potential here from San Diego. They have a few hitters that really rake against them with Tatis, 8 for 17 with 2 home runs and a walk off him. Machado, 6 for 20 with 2 home runs. A lot of hitters do well against him. Bogarts, who the Red Sox shouldn't have gotten rid of, 17 for 54 with a home run, couple of walks, 11 strikeouts though, but still. And then our Arias is 7 for 9 off him, which I guess he's back because he had injured his foot stepping on first base wrong not too long ago. But I guess Arias is back there. So, all right. So that's what's going on there. So Gausman doesn't have good numbers either, so maybe an over makes sense in that game because both pitchers, I don't trust them. Their matchup numbers aren't very good. Vasquez, both pitchers are actually in good current form, though, so I worry about that a little bit. Philadelphia is at Colorado. This looks like a mess. Taijuan Walker, he's not a very good pitcher at this point. His numbers are okay this season, 2.62 ERA, 1.25 WHIP. The WHIP's a little bit too high, but really, they haven't been letting him go deep into games. He just kind of comes in, gives you a few innings, and then, Philadelphia hands it over to some of their other guys. Against Colorado, he's been okay. 43 at-bats, 279 average, 691 OPS. So I don't know what we're going to get out of Walker. I don't think he's that great, though. And Palmquist for Colorado, not Carson Palmer, Carson Palmquist. Debatable which one of them has a better arm. He only has 1 start in the majors so far, and it was not good. It was a tough draw at Arizona, a good offense and a tough offensive park there, but he didn't strike out anybody in 4 innings, gave up 5 earned runs and 1 walk. Not a good start to Palmquist's career there. Will he improve off of that? Yeah, he might, but now he's having to make his first start at Coors Field, which is not going to be easy either against a good offense like Philadelphia. You probably got to look to the over in a game like this, but I think there are some question marks with that where you don't really know how it's going to play out with Walker. Sometimes he'll come in for a few innings and do fairly well. His numbers aren't that bad against Colorado and Palmquist because Philadelphia hasn't seen him before. There is the potential that he pitches okay. 65% of tickets, 91% of the cash on the over, though. And it's actually dropped from 12 juice to the under down to 11.5 juice to the under. I understand it's a crazy high total because it's not a very good pitching matchup, and it's in Coors Field, so the odds makers have to throw that total up really high. But again, when the total's that high, it's that high for a reason. So, I mean, one of the main reasons is it's Coors Field, but the starting pitching matchup factors into it. So, over may make sense there. And then we got Anaheim and the homeless A's. Kohanowitz is pitching for Anaheim. He's a guy who's just walking way too many guys, man. 4.71 ERA, 1.47 whip. Not impressive. I mean, 10-10 strikeout walk ratio this month, even though he's allowed one earned run in each of his last 2 starts, including a win against the Dodgers, which is insane. The Dodgers hit into 5 double plays in that game, man. So it's ridiculous. Kohanowitz allows like very few fly balls, which is kind of insane. He gets a lot of ground balls, so that's how he does it. He induced 5 double plays against the Dodgers, or the Dodgers hit into 5. I don't know if they're all against Kohanowitz, but that's kind of how he limits the damage because he doesn't strike guys out. He walks way too many guys. If he didn't walk too many guys, he'd be pretty effective. But Kohanowitz, he throws some like pitches that drop down out of the zone and gets a lot of ground balls. So that's what he does. But overall, I mean, his numbers are really not good. 22 walks and 29 strikeouts, way too many walks. Not a high strikeout rate either. More than 1 hit per inning. 7 home runs allows, even though he doesn't allow that many fly balls. Good ground ball rate. But even given that, he's still allowed too many home runs. So I don't think you can trust Kohanowitz, especially in a crazy home run park here in Sacramento, in this awful park. And the A's have hit him well, 6 for 12. With Rooker 2 for 2 in the home run. Rooker player prop potential. Butler 2 for 3. 500 average, 1,455 OPS. So Kohanowitz hasn't done well against the A's. Having to pitch in this stadium might not be good for him. J.P. Sears has been the better of the 2 pitchers this year. 3.31 ERA, 1.1 whip. He's probably the best starter in the A's rotation. But he's not in great form this month with an 8-4 strikeout walk ratio. He walked more than he struck out in the previous game against San Francisco, although he was coming off a game where he faced his former team, the Yankees, and actually pitched well in that game against the Yankees, giving up 1 run in 5 innings, 4-1 strikeout walk ratio. So maybe it was in a little bit of a letdown spot coming out of that to face San Francisco. I don't know, but against the Anaheim, Sears actually hasn't been that good. 56 at-bats, 286 average, 916 OPS, 5 home runs. Moncada has 3 home runs and 4 at-bats against him, 3 for 4 with a walk, and the only out being a strikeout. But, I mean, Sears does have the better numbers overall, but it's pretty difficult to try to back Sears here. I mean, I think the over does make sense in this game, and neither pitcher's in good form. You're looking at a very offensive park here. It's flipped from 10.5 juice to the under, 10.5 juice to the over. I agree with the over. 72% of tickets, only 59% of the cash on the over, though. Gives me a little bit of pause to recommend that, but I think the over makes sense there. I think Kohanowitz, he really got away with a lot against the Dodgers there. But if anybody's going to, not do that badly in a home run park like this, maybe it is Kohanowitz because he gets so many ground balls. He might actually stay away from the home run ball a little bit, even though, again, he has allowed too many home runs this year, too. And then Arizona at the Dodgers. I think Arizona does have the upper hand in the starting pitching matchup with Corbin Burns pitching, and he's rounding into form here. Double-digit strikeouts in his last outing. A 6-inning shutout of Colorado, coming off a shutout of the Dodgers for 7 innings as well. So he's definitely in good form again here. He's becoming the Burns that we remember. 1.25 whip is still bad. 2.56 ERA, good. Overall, he is good. And against the Dodgers, he has been good in the past. 140 at-bats against them. 207 average, 572 OPS. So Burns has done well against the Dodgers in the past. Dustin May, I don't think you can trust him as much. His numbers kind of sliding a bit here for the Dodgers. 4.43 ERA, 1.28 whip. Hasn't been pitching that great, although 19-5 strikeout walk ratio this month is pretty good, but he's allowed more than 1 hit per inning, and he's been tagged by the long ball, and he's allowed too many runs over his last 3 starts, so I really don't know what we're going to get out of May. I mean, his overall numbers on the season, like strikeout walk-wise, 41-17, doesn't look that bad. Fewer than 1 hit per inning doesn't look that bad. I mean, he's a decent pitcher. Against Arizona, he's actually been decent. 69 at-bats, 217 average, 594 OPS allowed. So he's actually pitched fairly well there. So I mean, I'm going to stay away from touching that game. You do get a little bit of a cheap price on the Dodgers at home because of the starting pitching matchup, but I do think you have to tip the scales to Burns, even though the Dodgers do have the better bullpen. I mean, Arizona's offense is not that much worse than the Dodgers' offense. Dodgers did just win yesterday to break that ridiculous loss streak that they had. They finally won a game, but they haven't been playing particularly well recently. So, I mean, maybe Burns is the way that you want to look in this game. Let me see, what does the market look like? LA up from -130, -132, but 59% of tickets. Public coming right back on the Dodgers, even though they have to look at this and know that Arizona has the better pitcher here. But public is still coming in on the Dodgers just because it is the Dodgers. And Arizona's bullpen has been bad. I mean, the Dodgers definitely have a bullpen edge, but I do think the starting pitching edge has to be in favor of Burns. 61% of the cash over on Arizona's side. So the market seems to agree with the Arizona side there as well. I'm about to dip as well. Have a good one as well, David. The A's are 8-15. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know. You'd think they would, have somewhat of an advantage there because they play more games in that stadium than anybody else does, so they get used to it, but they have not had the edge there. It's ridiculous. The Jays started off really bad on the season, but they've been winning some games recently. I mean, they're not as bad as their start to the season. They have a few good pitchers in their rotation. Their bullpen questionable, and their offense is okay. Yeah, Vasquez, maybe. I don't know, man. I'm not going to trust him until I see him start being in better form for a longer period of time, I think. Anyway, thanks, guys, for hanging out. That's going to do it for me. One more time, the plays that I gave out on the show. The Knicks in the NBA, -4.5. Baseball, 2 plays. Houston Astros money line, and first 5 under Baltimore, Milwaukee. I think under 4.5 is kind of a generous number there in that game, to be honest. With the full game total, I think only being 8.5. So that's going to do it. Tower Gang Toad on Twitter. Support my fundraiser, guys. After losing my job, trying to get some extra money to try to help bridge the gap here. So there's a Give, Send, Go. I have links to it on my page. I think it's Give, Send, Go. .com/Tower Gang Toad, I think is where it's up. Tower Gang will be on tonight, 9-11 p.m., so go check that out as well. We got an episode tonight as usual. It's Wednesday. Subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Tower Gang, and get tickets to Bohemian Grove and come hang out with us in late June. Live podcast event. And that is going to do it for me for now. You like Hunter Brown as well. Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball, but you like the Phillies on the run line. I'll have to look at his specific numbers of cores. I didn't look into it, but I hesitate to back young guys like Palmquist, who might actually come out and do decently. I don't know, but obviously the Phillies are the better team, but I think it's too much of a price to lay. Cheers to you as well. That's going to do it, man. Everybody have a good one today, and peace.